The salty air hung heavy over Malloy, a picturesque fishing town on the surface, but beneath the idyllic facade, darkness festered. The year was 1953. The wounds of World War II were healing, but a new evil was taking root. Human trafficking. Whispered rumors spoke of young women disappearing, vanishing into the night, never to be seen again. Anita Johansson knew these whispers well. Fear was a constant companion. Her own life was a tapestry woven with threads of poverty and desperation. Her family, once warm and vibrant, had been torn apart by the war. Anita found herself alone, struggling to survive in a world that seemed determined to swallow her whole. The men came for her on a night when the wind howled like a banshee. Their faces were hidden in the shadows, but their intentions were clear. Panic seized Anita. She knew what awaited girls who were taken, a life worse than death. Her heart pounded against her ribs like a captive bird. Anita had always been quick, agile. She had to be, growing up on the docks, dodging crates and leaping over nets. Now that agility was her only hope. She twisted out of their grasp, her bare feet pounding against the cobblestones. The shouts of the men echoed behind her. Each one fueled her terror. She could hear them gaining on her, their heavy boots thudding in pursuit. Anita's breath came in ragged gasps, her lungs burning with exertion. The harbor was her only sanctuary, the sea her only hope. She could see the dark water of the fjord ahead, choppy waves reflecting the dim moonlight. The sound of the men was closer now. Their shadows stretched long and menacing in the flickering gaslight. There was no time to hesitate. Anita took a deep breath and ran. The icy water slammed into her, stealing her breath. The shock momentarily paralyzed her, but the fear of the men was a stronger motivator. Anita forced herself to move, kicking out with all her might. She could hear their curses echoing over the water, see their dark silhouettes against the moonlit sky. She swam until her arms ached and her lungs screamed for air. The distant lights of Malloy seemed to mock her, so close yet impossibly far. Just when her strength was failing, she felt a presence beneath the waves, something powerful, ancient. Strong arms lifted her from the water. Anita looked up into the face of a woman unlike any she had ever seen. Her skin shimmered like pearls. Her eyes were the color of the deep ocean, and flowing from her waist was a tail, a fish's tail, a mermaid. Terror gave way to wonder. Anita found herself cradled in the mermaid's arms, being carried deeper and deeper into the icy embrace of the fjord. Fear was still there, but it was muted, overshadowed by a strange sense of peace. It was as if the sea itself had reached out to protect her. The mermaid carried her to a hidden grotto, a secret haven beneath the waves. It was a place of ethereal beauty, lit by bioluminescent creatures that danced and shimmered in the water. Here, surrounded by magic and wonder, Anita gave birth. Not to a human child, but to something different. The child, a girl, was beautiful, with her mother's eyes and a tail that shimmered like 1,000 seashells. Anita named her Saga, a name whispered to her by the sea itself. Section 5. A mermaid's cradle. Anita's human life slipped away like the receding tide. She didn't fight it. The sea had offered her sanctuary when she needed it most, and in return it had claimed her, transformed her. She was no longer Anita Johansson, the scared girl from Malloy. She was something else, something more. She watched Saga grow, her heart swelling with a love more profound than any she had ever known. The mermaids became her family, their world, her home. But the human world, the world of pain and fear, was never truly far away. It lingered in the back of Anita's mind, a dark shadow in the depths of her memory. Section 6. Whispers of the Depths. As Saga grew older, she became curious about the world beyond the waves. Anita tried to shield her from the truth, but some secrets are too painful to keep hidden forever. She told Saga about Malloy, about the men who had hunted her, about the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of the human world. She told her about the other girls, girls who had vanished without a trace, girls who had been swallowed by the same darkness that had almost consumed her. Saga listened, her young eyes filled with a wisdom that belied her years. And as she listened, a vow formed in her heart, a vow to avenge her mother, to fight the darkness that had poisoned her world, to ensure that no other girl would suffer the same fate as Anita and countless others. Section 7. The Siren's Fury. The sea surged with Saga's rage. She was her mother's daughter, but she was also a creature of the deep, with a power that dwarfed that of any human. She would use that power to bring the traffickers to justice. Word of the mermaid's fury spread through the underworld of Malloy like wildfire. Whispers of a creature with the power to control the seas, to command the creatures of the deep. The traffickers, once so bold and fearless, were gripped by fear. They tried to disappear, to melt away into the shadows. But Saga would not let them escape. She hunted them relentlessly, her anger fueled by the unvoiced cries of their victims. Section 8. Justice from the sea. One by one, Saga brought the traffickers to justice. She used her powers to manipulate the seas, turning their boats against them, unleashing the fury of the ocean upon their wicked deeds. The waves became her weapon, the creatures of the deep her soldiers. Her vengeance was swift, brutal, unforgiving. The traffickers had shown no mercy to their victims, and Saga would show none to them. Their reign of terror, built on the suffering of innocence, was crumbling. The people of Malloy watched in awe and terror as the sea exacted its revenge. They knew, deep down, that the mermaid was their only hope, the only force powerful enough to dismantle the evil that had taken root in their town. Section 9. Echoes of the Tide. With the last of the traffickers brought to justice, a strange peace settled over Malloy. The fear that had haunted the town for so long began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of gratitude and a healthy dose of awe. Saga had avenged her mother, but her quest had also brought about something unexpected. Redemption for Malloy, for the victims, and for herself. The echoes of her fury lingered in the waves, a reminder that some wrongs could never be fully righted, but they were also a promise that the sea would always protect its own, and that sometimes the most powerful